Hey everybody, welcome to the Geek Reloading podcast. I am your host, Adam, and as always, my co-host is here, Josh.
Hello.
And this one is, dude, this episode topic is near and dear to my heart. This is probably one of my favorite ways to game. And so we're talking about top co-op games, like games that you play with a friend, not necessarily multiplayer like Team Deathmatch, but games that you play through together for a common goal. That is the ones that we're talking about today.
Also, we are going to be overly happy about this one because our last one was a little bit rough and we were both kind of having a hard time. So
it was a lot.
It was important, but it was a lot.
It was important. We could have done better. There was a lot of notes. We wanted to make sure we hit all the topics. We got off topic. We're going to move on. This is a fun one, and it's just here for
so
fun.
Much more fun.
Yeah. So this one, Josh, I think that you have the best description for the first one, but we're going to go through just some of our top co-op games. So go ahead, Josh.
So the first one I put on there was Castle Crashers and Battle Block Theater. I really like these games because they're simple, they're easy to play, they're fun, and I like the art style.
Yeah.
So I like being able to build into stuff and you get better weapons and stuff. I think this game is just fun.
I think that one thing about this game is that these styles of games, they're made by the same studio, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. One thing that's interesting about these games is that first off, they have their own unique style. Like when they approach the games, they're deceptively complex, though, especially Battle Block Theater. When you think about like having to get through different areas, it can be kind of complicated, actually. Like there's a reason why it's kind of like funny how often you die, and they definitely lean into the humor of how often you die in that game.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, it's hard enough that makes you think and makes you work together and get you going on that way, but also easy enough that you can just jump in, play with your friends, and just kind of have fun.
Yeah, and the humor is on point. I love the humor in those games.
Oh, yeah. I honestly, Castle Crashers is one of the funniest games I've played. I laughed so hard at that game.
Yeah. The next one is a entire franchise that I have loved forever, and that is the zombie killing franchise in general, because we had so many listed on here. I just threw them all into zombie co-op. And honestly, the first two that I'm going to mention, a lot of people didn't actually like, and that was Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 6. But I loved being able to play through a Resident Evil game with a friend. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, and definitely having a game that you've played for so many years, finally be able to play with someone else, that's definitely a fun situation.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people, like, you have people that are like, Resident Evil was only good Resident Evil 1 through 3 with the classic tank controls and the bad camera angles. And then some people are diehard Resident Evil 4 fans. And what's funny is that 5 and 6 kind of are like these nomad games that nobody really wants to claim, but I liked them. They were fun.
Hey, as long as you had fun, that's what matters.
Yeah.
Also, in this, Left 4 Dead, it's different, but dude, like, it was such a great game to work together, and it just forced you to work together, and it made you feel like you did an awesome job on these things.
Yeah. And honestly, Left 4 Dead, I liked a couple things about it. First off, the movie setting for each stage, where everything is a digestible bite of, on average, between 70 minutes to 2 hours or so.
Yeah, that.
I mean, like, I love that they didn't go, hey, we're not going to be like every other game where it's this big long story and you pick up where you left off. It's like, look, each one is its own movie. And that's something that actually I thought was such a great idea, because it makes it so then if you have the time, play 3 or 4 movies worth. But if not, you can play one and you're done. You can play it for a couple hours and you're done. And I loved having that digestible feeling about, like, I accomplished something, not, oh, we slogged for 4 hours and we didn't get anywhere in the story,
Yeah. I also like that they give you a lot of parts where it makes you feel awesome. Like, something's going to happen, you know this, and then you're having to defend against hundreds and hundreds of zombies.
Yeah.
And that's just in the very beginning of the game. Like, it's so cool. Like, it really makes you feel powerful.
The standoff points in both of those games are some of my favorite. for their own unique reasons. Like Left 4 Dead 2, and you had to get gas for the car.
That one was awesome. I love that.
That one is complicated. It's a pain in the ass. But if you do it well, you feel awesome because you're like, you have people who are going to get the gas cans, and you're have other people that are trying to defend and cover them while also saving themselves. It was cool that they had those. But even in the first game where you had the last stand of just hold out until help arrives. And then there's that 3 to 4 minute gap between you defending this area that you kind of have controlled and then you having to run across the field to safety. That little rush right there it's still one of my favorite parts of playing Left 4 Dead.
Oh yeah, that was a good fun part of that.
Well, it's funny because you can kick ass the entire standoff, and then you'll all get incapacitated by a tank at the last minute, and you're like, son of a bitch, and you just watch everyone die, or everyone dies but just one person, and it still feels like a victory.
That's what I was gonna say, is that last one where that one guy is like, all right, take care guys, have fun, enjoy.
But that's the thing. If one person is saved, everyone still technically wins, and I love that.
Yeah. It's fun.
One like in Left 4 Dead 1, actually, for some reason, like it was started out as a joke, but when me and Nick would play it, like we would play the same characters each time. He would play Francis, and I would play he'd play Francis or Zoe, and I would play who was the black guy? What was his name?
I don't.
My goodness. I always wanted the black guy to win because I wanted him to survive and not be like a horror movie trope from the 1980s.
Oh, that's
why. So that's like, I always wanted him, like, I'm going to be him. He's going to survive. We're going to get through this. And I like, no matter what, he has to survive. Right. But when we were playing together, we would always have the old army vet guy. He would be Bill. Bill's the old army guy.
Bill was the one that I always played as.
Yeah, and Lewis was the guy I was always.
There you go.
But we would always in-cap Bill at the end, so then they would have somebody to attack so we could get away.
That's funny. With Bill, I was always just saying, I'm too old for this shit.
I'm too old.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so like as soon as like it was like, oh, run to the car or run to the helicopter, we would make sure that the other AI was ahead of us and then be like, sorry, Bill. And we would like old yeller him and just pop him in the knee. And then we would run. And it almost every single time it made it so we could easily get to safety. And then we'd see the in memory of Bill. And we're like, he sacrificed himself for us.
Yeah, he sacrificed himself. Uh-huh.
We like real talk, though. If it's the end of the world and, only 3 people can survive, the 3 youngest should probably survive. Sorry, Bill. Like,
except for the one with actual army, like military training that could maybe help you actually live after you get out of there.
Hey, they all survived for that long,
Yeah, but I mean, Francis was a dick.
It's true.
Like,
it's true.
If you're if you had to kill someone, you should kill Francis. Like, really.
The only one that has 100% safety, I think, is Zoe, because I don't think there's going to be enough females at the end of the world.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that she has survived, guaranteed.
Yeah.
So, but it was like, that was always our answer. It's like, 2 tanks. Sorry, Bill. Pow.
Have fun.
Yeah. And then they'd just be smashing him on the ground, and we're like, sorry, we'll sing songs about you.
Yeah.
That was it.
That's funny.
Left 4 Dead is such a great co-op game. And honestly, if you guys haven't played it, it's everywhere. It's cheap. Get it on Steam. It's like $6. Like, it's so cheap. Get it.
Yeah. And they always have sales on it because it is, Valve.
Yeah. But, and so another one to piggyback and to finalize out the zombie list, Dying Light. Dude, this game was awesome because it's parkour and zombies, and you have hand-to-hand combat weapons as well as guns. Dude, this game was so fun to play co-op because there's a mechanic where at night you have stronger zombies that come out, and so you're always trying to get somewhere before nightfall or get to a safe zone before nightfall, because then the real shit hits the fan,
Yeah, that makes sense.
But what's cool is that with co-op, you could be like, yo, I'm going to run to this area. And then the other person's like, okay, it's open world. I'm literally going to go a third of a mile in the other direction, and I'll pincer move it from the other side. And so you had this versatility playing co-op with Dying Light that you don't get that same kind of versatility with a lot of other games. And it's so fun.
That is true. I like that.
Hmm.
Also, before we move on, I do want to do a little shout out to my brother-in-law carrying me through Call of Duty Zombies. I guess
Oh,
that's on Black Ops.
yeah.
But yeah, like it was so interesting because like I tried it myself and I was like, I don't know, I don't like this. And then he was like, well, we were hanging out and at a family party or something. He's like, come play, and I was like, all right. And he like, like I maybe
He
have
was just
gotten through like
owning
a
on fools,
few
huh?
5 or 6 of the rounds, and I was like, I can't do this. And then it was like he's like, okay, let's go do this, do that, do this, and like he carried me, and it was crazy. It was fun. We went up to hundreds or whatever, and it was super
Wow.
interesting. He's a
Yeah,
badass. So
dude, honestly, that is a type of co-op like firefight and zombies and stuff like that. I never super got into it because I'm like you, where like I just like I was usually playing solo no less, which doesn't help any.
that's the
But
problem.
yeah, but
Yeah.
also like I didn't get into the wave after wave after wave after wave. Like that wasn't a type of gameplay, but maybe because I wasn't ever playing with other people.
That it really is. It's one of those games like you really have to have people to play with, but once you
Yeah.
do, it's super fun, I think.
Dang.
Uh,
Okay. So Josh, you got the next one.
so the next one I put down is Portal 2. Like Portal is such a cool concept and cool game. It's a puzzle game, but a first person shooter kind of,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Yeah.
you get to hang out with a buddy and do it. And that it's so funny. Like just it definitely played this one.
I wonder with like I want more games like Portal 2 to come out where it's got this really cool, unique mechanic, and they're like, hey, and play it with a friend. And I really want that to become more consistent. Cause I mean, there's always going to be a million shooters. There's always going to be those that are going to come out, but Portal didn't even feel like a shooter, you know?
Yeah, and it really wasn't. It was definitely its own thing. Like
It's like a
that's
puzzle
like
shooter.
it's Portal. Like really, when you describe it, well, it's Portal. That's how you describe it because it is. It's just a fun concept and a fun idea,
Yeah.
and even non gamers can kind of understand the puzzle aspects, and that's super fun.
So dude, I'm just gonna skim on this one because we
Yeah,
talk about
we've
it
talked about it.
so much, and that's the Borderlands franchise. I mean, if you ever need a game that you can just sit down and play with your friends, Borderlands is a go-to. Everyone should play it. It's awesome. I think last I heard, it's now on the Switch too.
I think so, but I mean,
Yeah,
don't honestly, personally, don't play it on the Switch. Just
no,
pick it up wherever. It's cheap.
it's
Number
cheap.
two,
It's fun. The
two
gameplay
is
is way good.
awesome.
Two
Is
is probably
awesome.
my favorite.
Yeah, probably. I like 3 too, but as well. But really, it's funny. It's just ridiculous. There's some stuff that happens in it. It's just, you keep talking about in Resident Evil how you have Chris punching a boulder. Like
Oh yeah.
that's like every mission in
Oh
Borderlands.
yeah.
So
It is bonkers. It's
it's
very
ridiculous.
fun. And also like just the myriad of weapons is awesome. You're never bored with guns because there's always gonna be something new and interesting. Like I'm going through 3 right now, and the one that I have right now, it whistles, and when I throw it, it turns in it has legs and it keeps running towards the enemy until it explodes.
Yeah, I mean,
So
like
stuff
seriously.
like that. It's crazy fun. So that's just a good one. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Josh, you got the next one.
Next,
Kind of both of us do.
yeah, it's kind of both. The next one I put down Destiny franchise. We also added Halo and Call of Duty campaigns into this.
Yeah.
It's just those first person shooter games that you can just, like for Destiny, it was just like I didn't care what we did. We just had fun and just ran around, and that's where it was for us. But like Halo, it's a great story. Call of Duty, they've got some really good stories for the campaigns.
Yeah.
Just first person shooters, there's a lot of good things there.
So just to piggyback off that, I think that the reason why games like Borderlands, Destiny, Halo, Call of Duty, the reason why first person shooters that do co-op that we're talking about are so popular is because, dude, it's a solid game to start with. Like the guns, the shooting mechanics, the actions, and the enemy base and that kind of stuff, all is really well balanced. It plays really well. But then on top of that, you have this added layer of, hey, you can play this in co-op. Hey, you can play the campaign. Hey, you can play it with friends. And I think that just adds more value to it.
Yeah, and I really like the idea of Sherpa, like having someone carry you through. If you have, like with the Destiny, you had fire teams of 6. in the raids, like if you had two, maybe three people that were good and they knew how the raid worked, they could easily carry the rest of the team. Not a problem. Hey,
Interesting.
stand here, shoot this guy when he shows up. I'll go and do everything else. Like, seriously, shout out to Timber. Timber, he carried me through a lot of raids, and it was just super fun. And then I started helping him Sherpa other people.
That's awesome.
That just made it for me.
That's super awesome.
And same with Halo. I mean, you've carried me a few times, like we've had some good times with Legendary and all that. Just going through the story because it was just fun because you could really just work with each other.
Yeah, for sure. So the next one, man, I was surprised that I forgot about these because they are such good co-op games.
That is why I put it on here. So the next one I just put on Lego games because we've played a few of the different types.
All the Lego games.
I love the Harry Potter and Star Wars. Those are my two. The two that my wife and I have gone through a lot.
Yeah, and I've gone through the Marvel, a couple of the Marvel ones, and the Batman one.
Oh yeah, I haven't really heard about the Batman one too much, but yeah,
that's the thing. There's so many, and they're all good. They're all awesome.
Like they're all really solid games that anyone can play. Like I remember playing with a couple of Mindy's like nephews.
Yeah,
we were just playing and having fun, and it was just good fun, and it was just enjoyable. Like you really didn't need to worry about too much.
Back on the old school original Xbox days, I remember I went over to my sister's house, and all of her kids are huge Star Wars fans, and they were like, "Hey, you should play this Lego game with us." And this was my first introduction to these games, and I was like, I don't know. And I started playing with it, and I had a 5-year-old, like a 7 or 8-year-old, and a 10-year-old all playing with me, and I was having just as much fun as the 5-year-old, and he was cleaning house just as good as the 10-year-old. And so that balancing, I think that's what makes these games so good.
And that was my thing is like a couple of the nephews, like there was one that he didn't really play most of the stuff with the Star Wars. He wanted to be a certain droid, and he was a great droid. Like he'd open up everything. He'd just take care of everything, but it was super helpful for all the rest of us. Cause we could kind of do the other stuff. And it was just, it's one of those games that you can play, doesn't matter who you're with or how many different places. And you also get to play some funny stories. Like the Harry Potters were hilarious. A lot of that stuff that you just go, yeah, if they were Lego, this is what they would do.
Yeah. And the humor, their humor's always been really good in this franchise too.
Oh yeah. Like it's always been fun. And I love the fact that they play to the Legos. Like, you can pull someone's arm off. Like, that's and
you
just
have
funny.
to build stuff to get to certain areas, and you have to actually, did you know if you have watched the Toys That Made Us on Netflix, that they actually have a Lego one, and they talk about how Lego was struggling in the 90s, and they were struggling to do anything to keep the company afloat because it was the rise of video games. And so actually it was video games and them being able to license characters from like Marvel and DC and movies and stuff that literally saved the entire company.
Well, I mean, it makes sense because it's like I've got a T-shirt. It's 19 something space academy or something like that. And it's that little guy. But like in the Lego movie, that's all he was. Is he was some 1980s spaceman.
He's space Lego guy.
Yeah, and that's all he was. Like then you have people that are actually from. Then you have Lego Batman, which is hilarious. But
and then the Lego movie that had Lego Batman, it's interesting. Like that was their answer. They're like, we got to get into video games somehow. We got to be able to license real characters, like have a Star Wars Lego set, have a Ghostbusters Lego set, have a Marvel Lego set. And that's really what set them apart. Is they were got into these really strong alliances when it comes to licensing, and then they ran with it in video games. And the video games really are something that kind of, it's surprising that the company went that way. Like if you think about it, Mattel was struggling then too, and all these other places, and they already were licensing their characters. You know, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the comic franchise that went to whatever Mattel or another, you know, figure company. Yeah. But they've been licensing for video games for years before Lego did.
Yeah, and it just makes sense. Like,
yeah,
why wouldn't you want to play with this cool setup? Like, I mean, Legos are brilliant how they're designed, and like I really like the engineering behind them. But like being able to take that and put it characters that you really like, and then make them video game, like that's awesome. Yeah, that's even better. But
so next one, man. What's the next one we have?
Real quick, I gotta add. I'm really sad that Lego Worlds never came to anything. Because could you imagine a freaking Minecraft, but with Lego and all the Lego stuff in it? That would have been freaking awesome.
Legitimately, if they had released that anywhere closer to the release of Minecraft, I feel like it would have overtaken Minecraft.
I don't know about that. Minecraft has some pretty solid stuff, but really, it would have been a lot better.
Minecraft had already been out for how many years before Lego Worlds came out? If they had created the idea of Lego Worlds right as Minecraft was releasing, I think that there wouldn't be a Minecraft.
I disagree, because the only reason why Lego Worlds came about was because of Minecraft.
I know. And that's our next one. Next one.
So the next one is Terraria and Minecraft, just like building games and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, this one, when it comes to co-op, like, dude, this is like one of my daughter's go-to games with her friends. Like, they have a million worlds on Minecraft.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's simple. It's easy. I mean, hell, my friend James and we still are playing Minecraft, and we're just screwing around in it. And then I start building a giant castle that's like more than 64 squares long on one side. But it's just fun. You can just do whatever you want. You can just have fun.
Yeah. It's really, it's the same draw that Lego had when we were kids. You can build anything you want. You can create your own world.
But I mean, it's that plus you can also go out and adventure. Like, that was one thing I really loved about Terraria is I really liked the exploration of Terraria. I love going down to cave systems. I love digging through stuff. I love checking out like the world up top as well. But when I was playing with my buddy James, like, he just wanted to build a base, and so I would go run around doing all this stuff, and all of a sudden I'd come back to these awesome bases and drop all my stuff that I got, and he could just use to build this amazing base. That was just
crazy.
It's super fun. Like, I like these games because they kind of give you the freedom. And granted, this is what I was hoping for, Fortnite, but sad.
Yeah, the original Fortnite.
Yeah,
dude, you've had some gaming disappointments in your life.
A little bit of cry.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one's kind of piggyback on that too. That's Stardew Valley and Animal Crossing, but specifically Animal Crossing. City Folk, New Leaf, and New Horizons are kind of the first three that you actually were able to go and visit and help out or contribute to other people, like in a co-op way.
Yeah, the kind of the simulation, like creating towns and friendships with people, and it's just a cool concept. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah. I like when Stardew came out with multiplayer, it was like a serious game changer for my wife and I. We loved playing that game together.
Yeah, and honestly, my wife loves playing with your wife on Animal Crossing. When they invite each other to each other's towns, they'll hop on whatever Nintendo's shitty phone chat is or whatever, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you did this! It looks so amazing!" Or like, "Oh, how did you build this? This looks awesome!" Or "Where did you get this item?" And they'll like drop off gifts to each other and everything. It's created a whole nother type of co-op, which is really cool.
Yeah, and it's that connection where you can connect and help each other. My wife has a million flowers, so she likes to hand those out when people don't have them. And it's stuff like that it's fun.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that a lot of flowers my wife got were probably from your wife's town.
It might be, because hers is a little bit crazy. She has to clean it out now because the bug off was today. So.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
The next ones, you listed two that I haven't played, but I have played the last one, and I love it and I hate it at the same time. So what are they, Josh?
So the first one I listed, I literally got bought for my birthday by my buddy James because it was on my wish list on Steam, is Out of Space. And
Out of Space.
Like I asked my wife, I was like, "Hey, I'd really like you to play this game with me." Like, because we had watched a little bit of a gameplay video of it. And she was like, "Yeah, that'd be great." And 5 hours later, we stopped. And we were kind of sad having to stop because it was getting way too late.
Wow.
But pretty much what it is you're these cleaner, you have to go through a spaceship and clean it out. And there's these aliens that grow and just make things like make rooms messy and stuff. And so it's all, like management, like you have to sleep, you have to
like
eat.
Time management and everything.
Kind of, yeah. Like it was really interesting. We played Large World. The very last game we played was on this large ship. So
yeah,
it got to the point where like a lot of things were automated. Like I was like, oh, I need to go and grab a bucket of water to get rid of these pustules because the dirtiness of the aliens will grow these pustules and then they pop into the more aliens. It's crazy.
Gross.
And I didn't realize we had automatic watering bots. Like we had just found them, and so we put them in. And all of a sudden they came over with a bucket of water, and I was like, "Oh, that's amazing! That's awesome!" So, it's just a fun game. Another one on the same kind of realm is Unrailed. Pretty much, you got 4 players. You have a train. You have the train is running, it's just going, and you have to bring to the train iron, and you have to pick iron out of the landscape and cut down trees to bring wood to the train, and it builds rails, and then you take those rails and you put them in front of the train. Like, it was just a fun game. It's like you kind of have to understand, like, okay, I'm going to worry about the iron, you worry about the wood, like we both need to grab the finished rails. Like it's just crazy. Like you kind of start building trust in like what's going on, and you have to kind of step back and let people know, let people do their own job.
So that leads to the last one, which is the one that I've actually played, and that's Overcooked and Overcooked 2. That game, I'm almost afraid to put it on top co-op games because I don't think I've ever been so frustrated and had fun at the same time, but being really frustrated at how slow I am and how not efficient I am compared to like my wife and my daughter when we're playing and stuff. Because like Overcooked, the entire point is you're all chefs and you have to create meals and they get sent out and then you have to clean the dishes. And it's this timed one where you have to get a certain amount of dishes. And it's these different worlds where you're playing on shifting icy blocks or 2 different boats. And you have to get your ingredients from one boat to the other. You have to cook there and then walk back to the other boat. It's chaos. It's stressful chaos, but it's somehow fun as well.
It is. It's one of those things where you're like, this can't be fun. And then you find yourself 5 hours later going, wow, that was a lot of fun. I want to keep playing.
Yeah. And once you're able to like start strategizing with your team, you're like, okay, you're on dishes and you're on ingredients, and this person's going to just cook and deliver. And this person's going to grab the ingredients and drop it off to this person. That's when it gets to be fun. But when you do that and you still lose like 3 times in a row, you're like, okay, it's fun still, but I think I might be done. I don't know. I've had mixed awesome times with this, and I've had times where I'm just like mad.
Yeah. Well, I think if you have enough people, like then if you have 4 people playing these types of games, I think it becomes a lot of fun just to be like, okay, yeah, it's super easy. This is, easy to manage. This is easy to work. But then you go, how far can we go?
Yeah.
And, then you can kind of start playing against yourself and not against the game, which is so much better because then you're playing, oh, I could have done this better. I could have done that better. Or, then you have those times where you're like, we are awesome. This is awesome.
Yeah.
So
it's a mixed bag, and it's definitely something you have to get used to playing. You have to get used to playing that style of game because there's going to be pitfalls you're going to run into. Guaranteed.
you also have to have a pretty decent like connection to the people you're playing with. Like I don't think I would ever want to play a lot of these types of games just online with random people because
Yeah.
you like there are times where you get mad. You honestly like there was a couple times just last night like I was getting mad and I was like, "What are you doing?" And like she kept apologizing. I was like, "No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean
It's
to
not
yell at
you.
you.
It's not you.
It's just me. It really is just me." But like,
So it is. It's something to get used to, but I mean, it is, and it's this weird addiction though. You want to go back and try again. Okay, let's
yep.
do one more time.
All
Let's
right.
try it again. Let's try it again.
Yeah, exactly.
So, dude, all of the next games, they all fall in the same kind of category, and it's all based on this kind of top-down character movement, and it's a co-op. And so, I'm just going to list them all, and they all kind of have a certain amount of traits that are kind of the same. Hunter the Reckoning Redeemer, Gauntlet, especially like Gauntlet 64, Champions of Norrath, X-Men Legends, and Marvel Ultimate Alliance. So all of them are you pick a character and you go through a level with that character and you're fighting hordes and hordes of enemies. But they're all top down view. And a lot of them are like, hand to hand combat, arrows, magic, or mutant powers. They all have the kind of the same mechanic when it comes to gameplay. I can't remember what it's called, but all of these are awesome types of games to play, especially when you have 4 full people to be able to play.
Oh yeah, like of these, I've only really played Gauntlet and Marvel Ultimate Alliance, but especially with Marvel Ultimate Alliance, like you get these synergies with the different teams and different characters, and it's just it's amazing how much you can do. Like and it is fun, I like Iron Man, so I want to play Iron Man, but if I don't play Iron Man and I play someone else that connects with the team better, I do better, and it's just fun that way.
Yeah, and some of those synergies were really awesome. Like one of them was like I think it was Iron Man and Captain America do that move where Captain America holds a shield and then Iron Man shoots his laser off the shield.
And then it's like this huge beam everywhere. Like,
and then there was one where Hulk literally throws Wolverine claws out in a direction.
That was super cool. That was one of those things where you don't necessarily know what's going to happen, but usually there's some sort of interaction with them, and that's just awesome to see.
Yeah, having the combinations was always fun. But those kinds of games, they're just fun to play, especially with 4 people.
Yeah, especially because there were a few of those like group attacks where it was like if you had all the Avengers, like they would all work together in this giant massive attack, and it was super cool.
Yeah. So the next one is another one of mine, and that is the Gears of War franchise. I spent so many hours playing Gears of War 1 and 2, especially in co-op mode, because it was just a fun way. Like they aren't really necessarily difficult games when it comes to actually like playing through them. They're okay, but it was just fun to play co-op on those because you still had varying places and positions. Sometimes you'd go in one direction and your teammate would go in another, but like it was really like, hey, we're 2 badasses, let's just go through this entire story, and it was so fun.
Honestly, like I only enjoyed Gears of War when it was co-op. Like I tried playing it by myself a few times, but until you took me through the first 2, like I did not enjoy it.
Yeah. So the story's fun and all, but it's a game that is best played with a friend, and then later on you have 4-player co-op, which is even better. So those are ones that I like.
Real quick, I'm going to add another one. I should have actually had this kind of more in the first person shooter, but like Far Cry 5 was one of those games that I just remembered, like I played with my buddy James, like we played through that and it was hilarious to go and kill like these racist asshole, religious fanatics. Like it was crazy to go and play that, and it was just the story is just crazy, and it was really interesting that way. Like, anyways, I just wanted to shut that one out. I just remembered.
Nice. So if we're going to talk about co-op games, we were going to end with classic examples, the ones from us growing up that kind of back in the day, there weren't very many co-op games, and they kind of fell into certain types of genres. And I'm looking at all of them, and dude, every single one of them are part of the beat 'em up genre.
Yeah, because I mean that was one of those things where they could have you all on the same screen and work all together, but not have it too much for, Nintendo when that was most of that stuff coming out.
Yeah, true. So, classic. This is our classic co-op shout out, and so we have Double Dragon franchise, Double Dragon 1, 2, 3, Super. The Turtles franchise. The one that we specifically mentioned was the NES Manhattan Project. That one was awesome.
And the arcade game, because we played that one a ton.
Yeah, the arcade game. Streets of Rage. I actually played those on Sega. Those were awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. There's one that isn't. Contra. Contra's not a beat 'em up technically, right?
Yeah, I guess that's more bullet hell.
It's a side scroller, bullet hell, yeah. But Contra is like the granddaddy. That's the original.
That is like that and Double Dragon 1 were, I mean, early, if not release. I guess that's American release. Like it was out.
It's up there. Yeah. So like Double Dragon and Contra are the first ones, at least in the console gen, that really were co-op.
Yeah, and it was so much fun both of the games were fun by yourself, but then when you had someone else with you, it was awesome.
It's true. Honestly, though, I don't think I ever beat Double Dragon 1. I think I beat 3. I don't even think I beat 2 because that damn helicopter area.
I beat 2 many a times. 1 I beat maybe once early on. But that was hard. The last few levels are hard. Yeah. Double Dragon 3, I don't think I got past the first boss. Like I could not do that because I didn't have anyone to play with at the time. But yeah, that game was rough for me.
Yeah. See, I beat like Streets of Rage 1 and I think I beat all of them. 1, 2, and 3. I loved those.
Because we played a few of those together, and yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I saved the best one in my mind as the last. And
for
this
is
one
I've
easily, on the classics, I've easily beaten this game probably 50 times, all the way through 50 times at least. And that's River City Ransom, which is just probably my favorite beat 'em up game ever.
It's really one of those things because it is just kind of a beat 'em up game, but then it also has the RPG elements. It was such a cool concept, and it was solid gameplay. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of little tricks that you got good at and everything, and it was just fun to play.
Yeah, and what's funny is that the gameplay was solid, but it was also glitchy as hell. But the glitches worked in the game.
Yeah,
does that make sense? Like
they weren't game breaking; they were They were fun enhancing glitches.
Yeah, because like some of the weapons had a little bit longer distance, and so you could actually hit across a wall and hit the person on the other side of the wall because. Yeah. The glitch was like, so you'd have like this really heavy hitter like character on the other side, and you could just whack him with a bar right through the wall,
Yeah, and unless he grabbed a tire, then it was funny. But it also, it was still fair because if they had a tire and you were standing up against that wall, you usually got hit.
Yep, they hit you back. That's true. So like that, I think that those were ones, and it's really nice, like. When we were trying to think of classic examples, there were only a handful that we could think off the top of our heads, but we did have some good ones, which was good.
Yeah, we had a lot of good times with a lot of these. And, there's a lot of different ones that we probably missed, but like those were the ones that we remembered really well.
Yeah. So that's our list. Top co-op games. I mean, those ones are fun. If you haven't played any of those, give them a try. They're all solid. They're all fun to play. And they're all usually relatively cheap too right now. Because we play a bunch of old games, man. Like very rarely do we talk about new games.
Yeah, I mean, new games are fun, but we're both also like kind of cautious on stuff. So
it's true.
Yeah,
it's true. I actually think we're going to do an episode on like our approach to gaming and how to save money while gaming.
That's a good idea.
Because I mean, we've had people that have been like for our specific group that we help moderate, I actually post deals that I find because I rarely buy a game at full price anymore because it's you don't know what you're getting and it's not worth it unless it's like a multiplayer game. But I'm not going to get into that. Anyway, that was our episode. We hope you liked it. And like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Send us a message if you have a question, comment, whatever.
Connect with us. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah, we've had suggestions that we are incorporating into our episode pool. So please definitely reach out.
Yeah. So thank you for listening. We appreciate it.
Yeah. And we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Geek Reloading Podcast with Adam and Josh. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Have a question? Email us at geekreloading@gmail.com. Theme song titled Rocket by Kevin MacLeod. You can rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast on your preferred podcast service.